truth by definition is absolute. There has to be one truth. Otherwise it's not truth, it's opinion. I grew up Mormon because that was what was around.
Norman Dunham grew up in Utah, but he wasn't satisfied with the teachings of the Latter-day Saints. He was convinced there had to be something more. One night at a club, a witch invited him to her coven, and what he saw there astonished him.
They met in a cemetery, which was a few blocks away from my apartment. They did seances, spells, conjured demons, culminated with an orgy in the cemetery. And so that was the lifestyle there. They actually would call on demons to give them power.
He knew he wanted the power he saw, and his involvement in Wicca went from a casual interest to a fiery obsession. But soon after, he saw a side of Wicca he had never experienced before.
It was suddenly realizing that there is this other side. It's not all just fun and games and love potions and you know, we're white magic. You know, it's all its power comes from one source, and that source is Satan.
He started looking in other directions for the truth, and for a while, he thought he might find it in the Quran.
You know, started to pray 5 times a day, learned how to do the prayers, learned how to do the hand washing and the face washing and all the stuff you had to do to be a religious Muslim. I found religion. I found a lot of stuff that they said never changed. From the beginning of when the Quran was written, nothing worked. It didn't work for me.
He started working in a hospital and began dating a nurse, but he still longed to find the truth. Every night he talked with a coworker about faith.
We would talk about Jesus, and he would tell me, and so many times we went through, and he would talk about the Trinity. You know, because that was my stumbling block. That was what the one thing that was keeping me from becoming a Christian is I did not believe in one triune God.
Norman felt lost and confused, and to make matters worse, his girlfriend broke up with him. With no hope in sight, he could only think of one solution.
I decided I was going to commit suicide because, you know, again, here was something that I thought, I was convinced I was going to marry this woman. This was another one of my concrete things that had just shattered. So I got into my car. I was going to drive my car through a guardrail on an overpass and drop down to the road below and hopefully let a 18-wheeler come by and finish the job. As I come around the corner, I could see the point where I had planned to drive my car through the guardrail. And so I'm aiming my car at this point, and I had a vision of Calvary. And I heard a voice that said, "There is no pain you can feel for any reason that is greater than the pain that he felt for you." I pulled my car over to the side of the road and I bawled. I cried, and I cried out to God, and I said, again, something needs to change. I can't do this pretend stuff anymore. I need something. I need reality. I need concrete foundation.
He pulled himself together, drove home, and turned on the TV.
As I turned on the TV, there's the 700 Club, and usually I would have just flipped past it. But the story was about a woman who had come out of Wicca, who had been a witch. And when they said the word Wicca, it caught my attention, and so I watched. This woman had realized the truth and had repented of her sin and put her trust in Jesus Christ, and that she was saved, and that was the foundation. There was concrete reality for her. And so immediately after this story, Terry Musin comes on and invited those who were watching to pray the sinner's prayer.
Norman had finally found the truth, and that day he received Christ into his heart.
To know that all this stuff I had gone through, that finally I'd hit rock bottom, but that foundation was secure. And I knew that there was nothing that was going to shake that foundation.
It's been 10 years since that day, and Norman is stronger than ever. He's married now and is a pastor. He says he's passionate about telling others that Jesus is the way to life.
Muhammad is still in his grave. Joseph Smith is still in a grave. Buddha is still in a grave. Krishna never existed. But Jesus Christ walked the earth, laid down his life, and took it up again. God isn't afraid of being questioned because he has the answers. And so that would be my advice, is to go to Jesus and ask him, reveal your truth to me. And he will.